So we are going to be here and be real with you and simply engage in unrehearsed fireside chat between Ryan and I for all of you to listen in. Would that be okay? Yeah. Ryan, an absolute real estate investor, which is where you and I have engaged the most. Broker and trainer. He's also a coach. Coaches in real estate. Who's in the real estate game already? Raise your hand up high.
Nice.
Awesome. Who wants to be in the real estate game? Raise your hand up high. Any additional people? Yes, indeed. Ryan is the person who has done it in over all the years I've watched real estate investors just like yourself. And watch them, I've been in the real estate game for 16 years, been involved with the top level gurus, training real estate investors all around the world, matter of fact. And I've never seen anyone have the magnitude of results that you have and be so laid back and relaxed about it that no one would ever know.
Yeah.
And it's just been, it's so amazing and so cool to watch what you've done. And to just realize, it hasn't changed you, and it hasn't tainted anything, and you're just, so I did this $200,000 profit deal, and that was last week. No big deal.
Yeah.
And that, I'm like, hold on, could you just roll back that sentence just for a moment? You just did what? And this is how I'll find out about it. I made $250,000 on the last deal. That was just a wholesale. Who would like to hear about that deal? Yes? Little thing. And he'll just, lay these things out and, whatever. Who are things if they did a one wholesale deal for a $250,000 profit, it would change their world right now. Yeah. This is why Ryan's here. Tell me who you are, how you got here.
Yeah, how did I got here? Well, my mom met my dad, and that's how I got here. Or my mom called on my dad, and that's how I got here. Yeah. But, I was born and raised in, if anybody knows Palm Springs, there's a small, city called Cathedral City, and that's actually, I was, born at Desert Hospital, raised in Cathedral City, Palm Springs, and kid of entrepreneurs, and I think that's how it got into my blood, is, family business. And the family business at that time, though, I got a taste or an idea of the real estate market, I think, at a very young age, and I don't even think I realized it until recently.
Hold on. When he says really young age, how many people would like to know his current age? Some of us think that's really young right now where you're at.
It's my Jesus year.
Yes.
I'm 33. Yeah. So the story goes, my family got a divorce. My parents got a divorce when I was 12 years old. And what happened was we went through a foreclosure. And this was back, I think, through the down cycle of the 90s. And at the time, it was just kind of like, I was like, damn, I'm 12 years old, I can't really, maybe I could have, gone out and started hustling, selling my baseball cards or something like that. But I would have very much had liked to be able to say, hey Dad, here, I got you. We can, we don't have to move out. We don't have to, we don't have to separate. We don't have to do this. But that's what happened, and that was the reality of it. And I think that always stuck with me is how can I get control of my life from a financial standpoint at a very young age? And it always circled back to real estate for me. So long and the short of it, that's how I got into real estate was, going through foreclosure, and then when I was 20 years old, getting into actually mortgage lending and starting as a loan officer and learning that side of it, just how the money, how loans were originated and how that whole business worked. And then that's when, right at that time when I was in the mortgage industry, that's when it tanked again in the 07-08 downturn, right? I think we all remember that. And then again,
broker during 07-08?
Yeah, 07-08.
2007 and
2007, 2008. Yeah, it was an interesting time. To be, my age at that time, 20, 21, doing loans, making, pretty good money per loan. and then to watch all of that just go upside down, and then having to reinvent myself.
Were you doing that full time?
I was actually doing that part time. I was actually acting too at the same time. I was taking acting classes, and that's actually how I met my girlfriend, who's or my fiance, I should say.
I will say, compared to working at Chick-fil-A, it's darn good pay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They'll go for a whole day, they'll work for half an hour, and they'll eat most of the day, and they'll get those $75. So they're pretty satisfied.
I know that because my first job was Dairy Queen, so I definitely get that. And I was eating the roast beef sandwiches, whoops, this one was a screw up, so I guess that's us, for us in the back.
So all that, and so here you are, you're having acting part-time, you realize that you did mortgages, the downturn happened. Where'd you go from there?
Yeah, so going from there, I was like, I need to work with the market. The market shifted, so I need to shift with it. And so I got into real estate investing. I was a licensed broker at the time, and I rarely used my broker's license. You don't even need a license to flip real estate. If you're the principal, you're the buyer, and that's what I do. Is I tie deals up, and if I wholesale them to create steady cash, and then if it's a great deal, then I'll cherry pick it and I'll buy and hold or rehab it. But the wholesaling, it really needs to be your foundation, because that's what you can turn deals and shorten that cash flow curve to where you've got good consistent cash flow.
Who here knows what wholesaling is? Raise your hand up high. Awesome. So who here absolutely would love us to tell you what wholesaling is? Excellent.
Oddly enough, so I had been in the mortgage industry for a couple of years. I was a licensed real estate broker, and I still am today. And when I first heard about wholesaling, I had never heard of it before. So it's not like, it's not uncommon. I had no idea what it was either. And wholesaling in a nutshell is where you take a piece of property, you put it under contract like you would with any other kind of deal, except you're the buyer, right? And you're putting the property under contract at one price. And then instead of doing the conventional close, fix, and then flip, what you're doing is you're then just either you're closing and selling as is. So you're buying as is, selling as is to a cash buyer. So it basically, that's where you hear that, you don't need any credit, no cash, no experience, no license, no fixing. Well, that is wholesaling, because you can literally tie up the deal and then you can just assign it or double close on it. So you buy it as is, sell it as is to a cash buyer who he's going to fix it and flip it over and make the big money over the 3-month period of that time. And you're making your money like within 7 to 30 days.
You don't have the money, you don't have the credit, you couldn't possibly buy this. If you liquidated everything you owned, that's okay. You say, I'm gonna buy this, and you sign the contract. You then basically sell the contract to somebody else.
Right.
You sell your position to somebody else, and you make, what do you typically make in a deal like this?
It can, well, my smallest deal is, and I can give you some background on that. You may not want to learn about this, but my smallest deal is actually free, where I actually made $0 on it, just to,
That's not the methodology we're looking to engage you.
That was a deposit of goodwill, because I tied up the deal and I couldn't.
We have done for charity work.
Yeah.
We have done deals like that.
Yeah.
Only that's not what your mainstay would be.
Yeah.
What's normal?
Yeah, and then the biggest wholesale fee, which you alluded to earlier, was $246,000. My biggest wholesale fee, and then the average is probably about 3% of the after repair value. What the property will be worth when you resell it. So the average is 3%. So like in California, typically average is like a $20,000 wholesale fee. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going with no credit.
Yeah.
No cash.
Right.
No real engagement of wanting to actually fix the property up.
Right.
You don't need to know construction.
Right.
You are there to get it under contract and then sell your position.
Right.
And you make 20 to 30 grand,
Yeah.
typically on deals like that.
And I think the part that maybe messes with most people's minds psychologically like that is, like, if you're a very honest, ethical person, you go, well, I don't have any intention of buying it. Why? Like, maybe it would be very difficult for people to put themselves out there and make those kind of offers with that kind of strategy. But the thing is when you reverse engineer it to where you already have, like, I'll give you an example. One of my deal partners is a $50 million fund in Newport Beach, and they buy, fix, and flip maybe about 40 deals a month. So they're just one of many buyers or investors I have on my list. So it's very easy for me to go into a deal knowing that me personally, my company, like, I'm most likely going to wholesale this deal, but my success rate is going to be high, and I feel very ethical about doing it because as soon as I have it, within minutes, I can have it out to my investors. I can throw a couple text messages, maybe a couple phone calls, follow up on that email, say, hey, do you like it? Do you want to go see it? Okay, perfect. And then they'll give me a decision either that same day or the next day or the day after that, to where I literally have no risk. I can move it very quickly because if the numbers don't work for whatever reason, I can always cancel without any repercussions back to me.
Right.
Or what you alluded to earlier, which was the Midas touch, the gold touch. It's not that I have a gold touch. I would specifically call it turning dead deals into dollars. And and basically some of the ways that you do that is, if it is not a good deal, you're still within your inspection period, you've gotten feedback from your investors, you can then take that feedback back to the seller to adjust the price to where you can create your margin. Right. It's nice to be able to determine those numbers quickly, like just pop in an address, populate your numbers, know what your exit price is, like what if you were going to rehab it, what you should pay for it, or if you're going to wholesale it, what another rehabber is going to pay for, and then from there create your margin. Know this is where your offer price should be, and as in with any negotiation, give yourself room to come up, tie up the deal.
Do you have a formula or system that when you look at a property, you can just know what the value is?
For sure. Not only have I done that, but I ended up building out a specific tool, a software for me, and I had it pre-programmed with those algorithms, because when my deal analyst, who's like my acquisition assistant, when he puts in a property address, I want to take out as much guesswork as possible. Especially when I go in and I look at it, if I need to look at it, I just want to be able to tweak a couple of numbers. So there's formulas for sure. I eventually wanted to be more specific and set myself apart in my marketplace. So I was calling around numbers. I was trying to figure out, hey, what number's available that has to deal with real estate. I actually was able to find the guy who owned this phone number. I bought it from him, and then I bought the website, and then I branded it into, it's a lead funnel to where motivated sellers, and it's a very important thing when you're dealing with a seller. If they don't remember you the first time you send them a marketing piece or talk to them, they'll definitely remember you later on when they want to sell. And the second thing is also when you're dealing with them during the negotiation, there's just something that happens. They look at you differently than if you're just like Ryan buys houses. So when I first got started with the brand, I didn't really even have it out in very many places, and I would have people tell me, oh yeah, I've seen your signs. And I was thinking, I don't really have any signs around.
Oh yeah, ton of shifts over the last 5-10 years, even the last couple years in what's been going on in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Not just in California, all across the country. I want to get into real estate investing. What kind of strategies should I be looking at?
Yeah, definitely. Has everybody else noticed that too? Like the real estate market shifting a little bit? It just seemed like everybody started talking about it within the last 2 months. It's come up. And I know that's a micro thing. And there's a macro element, but there's micro element. It is, California is infamous for boom and bust. probably, you know, other higher end markets too, like Florida and some other places. But yeah, definitely it is taking a shift, and we've hit that 10-year mark from the last one, so it's kind of, you know, to be expected, right? So it definitely has made me more aware and cautious, and so here's a couple of things that I've done. So number one, I continue to wholesale. I do get a pulse on the market when I'm dealing with bigger funds like the $50 million fund in Newport who's doing high volume, because they'll feel it more than like your mom and pop who are doing maybe like 3 flips a month. So they definitely play it more conservative on their after repair values, so they don't have so much time on the market, and they just make sure that they improve. You know, they've got the nicest looking product on the street, and then they try to be as conservative as they can on the ARV. So the tactics that I'm using is I continue to wholesale, because again, it's consistent cash flow, because wherever the market turns, whatever happens, I'm flipping that property right out anyway,
right,
to a cash buyer. So that's happening instantly. I'm not going to get stuck with the property. So wholesaling, and then I've really hedged against this market turn about a year ago, when I was kind of expecting, hey, we're coming up on it. It's like things should start to turn. So what's a sector where I can feel very comfortable that maybe would be recession resistant? That would be good to put some dough. And so what I did was I sold one of my, like I said, I cherry pick the really best deals. So I cherry picked a 4-unit that I did a buy and hold and rehab on. I sold that, and I exchanged it, did a 1031 exchange into a mobile home park, because a mobile home park.
Hold on. I want to break this down. So
yeah.
It's okay. 4-unit.
Yeah.
Fix and flip.
Yeah.
What part of the country?
It's here in Los Angeles.
Here in Los Angeles, so a 4-unit fix and flip in LA. So you bought it, you put money in to rehab it, then you sold it.
Yeah.
And how much profit did you make on that deal?
I think I bought it for
When was
three.
that?
I bought it in 2012. So that one was, yeah. So that was again a cherry pick deal. I bought that for $385. And I don't know, maybe I put 60 grand into it, and then I sold it for $1,075,000, and then I did a 1031 exchange.
Why would mobile home parks be recession proof?
Because everybody needs a place to live, man, and that's as cheap as it gets. That is the cheapest. That's cheaper than apartments. It's cheaper than single family houses. It's more expensive than living out of your car, but it's cheaper than an apartment. Yeah. And I'll give you a couple reasons why that. I mean, that's obviously number one, is the cost is low and your rent is pretty good rent. 2, it's affordable housing. So I mean, it's supply and demand. You always hear affordable housing. Where's all the affordable housing? Well, mobile home parks is affordable housing at its finest. Absolutely. And the supply and demand of it is, the demand is growing, and the actual supply of mobile home parks is actually deteriorating or going away by about 1% a year, because people are converting it to some other highest and best use, turning it into a housing tract of single families or whatever they're going to build there, commercial strip mall or something.
Now their experience is the software will do what for them?
So the software
program, they pay up. How much is it at this point?
It's $297 a month for the platinum.
Okay, and so $297, they're getting what? What's the capability of this software?
So I would say number one, you're getting proof of funds up to $925,000.
So we haven't talked about that. Only proof of funds, where who here knows real estate? You're doing deals and you need proof that you actually have the money to buy it.
Yeah.
Ryan supplies you with that proof. The bank statement saying yes, he's got enough money to buy the property.
Yeah. So
Who thinks that's pretty good? Yeah. That's where most people stumble on. Oh, I don't have the money. They're not going to let me contract. That's how they let you contract. Ryan steps up and says, here it is.
Exactly.
What else?
So the proof of funds, and then it'll do a whole myriad of other things. But I'd say some of the other most important things that'll do is, one, it'll generate all your numbers by just putting in a property address. So by putting in a property address, all your bed, bath, square footage, pricing history.
So it's pulling information from the internet
yes.
and off the MLS of everything that's real important on what's going on with that property and the description.
Yeah.
What else?
Not only when you do that, but then you can hit a button for all the comps to populate. So you can do a comp search. They will send me more leads now just because they go, oh, well, you're obviously dialed in, you're branded. There's an element where it's like, I see you and we want to send you deals that we can't close. Overlook the deals, give feedback to where we know, hey, that's a deal, or this is what you need to offer to make it a deal.
Right.
Or let's run with it. Do you have buyers? Oh, you do? Do you want the deal partner to have us blast it out to our buyers, our fund, other funds? I've got multiple funds. And then we'll do that too.
Who would love access to his buyers? Yes?